Hello, dear readers. Welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. We hope we find you in good form. There have been a lot of developments in the D&D and RPG world recently that have given us all a lot to think about. No news or information this time, apart from obviously our usual exhortation to rate or review us in your podcast app of choice, and to find us on social media and send us your thoughts. Instagram, Twitter, Face thingy, all of the usual. Let us not tarry, dear readers. Instead, let us push on with episode 125 of the Billowing Hilltop podcast, a brief visit to a space within civilization. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I am here once again with Dan.
Good day.
Glowing golden Dan, wise and shadowy Graham, corpulent Johnny, and the cybernetic Paul. And we may be joined by the mysterious Dr. Eusebio Spider Lucas later. We don't know. We're not quite sure what he's up to, but he may return. Well, possibly.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's January.
Yeah. It can't be.
Not. Monday the 19th of December.
How long did that take? How long did we get? We managed to get it right for like 30 seconds.
Monday the 19th of
Jesus
December.
Christ. Anyway, we don't know what he's up to, but he may join us later. Anyway, where we left things.
He's doing his inventory after Christmas.
He's oiling the antlers.
Placing his orders.
I quite like that.
Christmas
I quite like that film.
party. Post-Christmas
Yeah.
party.
After Christmas.
After Christmas.
After Christmas is quite good.
Where we left things, you had decided to cut your losses.
Oh, that's right.
Consolidate your wins, gains, whatever it is,
Teleport.
by teleporting out. Yeah. You've got the scroll, you've got the spell, you've retrieved some pictures from some weird chamber to the south of the Lake of Worms.
We've had a load
There was
of
a whole other
visions.
thing, if you remember, readers, you'll remember this, the players may not remember it. The whole weird thing with tentacles and the magic shadow black cat that appeared from the vortex and all that stuff. But where we are now is that you've retrieved the pictures that you feel that you were retrieving as part of a bargain with the beholder, but you've decided nevertheless to teleport back to Marcus and see
I'm
how
not
you get on.
sure that we ever agreed to any kind of bargain. I think we heard this
I
voice.
respect that was the bargain that was laid before you. Anyway,
That was the
you decided to cast
ultimate
the teleport spell. Yeah. You know that sound when the Millennium Falcon tries to jump into hyperspace?
I knew you were going to
And
do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid when Sessions tries to cast the spell, that is the sound that you get.
Oh, God.
That is what happens.
You mean
It doesn't
Right.
work.
Oh.
Can
because we can't.
you make an Arcana check, Sessions?
Oh, dear.
Oh, did
15.
That is good enough. You realise as you start to incant the spell, instantly you appreciate that something is going to stop the spell from executing, and you manage to stop yourself before you fully release the magical energies.
Right.
And you still have the spell on the scroll.
So we're going to go
Something-
out and we're going to give the pictures and then we're going to do it. For
Is
God's
it because
sake.
we're inside the wall, maybe?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So,
Do I have
How do
to
we
say
get
when
out?
we get up onto the top of the ziggurat?
yeah.
How are you getting to the top of the ziggurat? You can hand wave this, but it's a dimension door.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would be.
Well,
we'll
how
try it.
difficult flying there does that
Well,
look?
you've got worms falling down the.
Yeah. You've got
Are
worms
they
falling
shaft.
down.
avoidable?
I wouldn't want to be
I mean,
making
yes,
lots of rolls.
technically.
Rather go
Yeah.
with the dimension
Some
door.
dice rolls and stuff, but yeah.
It's-
Okay,
dimension
well,
door.
we could do kind of, I suppose, the dimension door then.
We'll try.
It's all a bit bush tucker
Let's
climbing up
try
there.
a dimension
Fissure.
door.
Hang on, we're always one person short. We need to stick someone in the bag of holding.
Yeah.
Parker.
Is there you've already got Wolverhampton in there, plus whatever. They are 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot bags of holding, right?
So we'll
Yeah.
split
It's the
Buggy
size
in
of
it.
it. It's
Nobody touches
like-
a dwarf.
it's like a tea chest.
Nobody's putting me in the back my own bag of
You're
holding.
not a dwarf, are you? You're a halberd.
He's delusional.
What about Sessions? You could. Oh no, you can't.
I can't cast the spell then.
Yeah,
It's either
Brilliant
Bugger
idea,
off or
Johnny.
Parker.
It's got to be buggy.
Sessions close into the bag.
Or Alessandra.
Cast dimension door. Sorry, the bag of holding and Sessions disappear.
All right, I guess I'll have to go in my own bag.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Don't let him in.
So you
Get
go
him
in the bag of holding. With the rest of us dimension door.
Leave it
All
behind.
is leave it behind.
Throw it in the lake of worms.
So it's shut.
An hour later, it
Where-
just opens.
where's
a couple
Buggy?
of
Where's Buggy?
Grizzled nose pokes out.
Marvellous.
Okay, so you put Buggy in the bag of holding, and you dimension door to up on the roof of the ziggurat.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is the heat of the day. The sun beats down upon you through a hazy sky. Otherwise, things are mostly quiet. There are no baboons, at least not up on the rampart where you can see them. Although you can hear their cries and whoops out in the canopy, it doesn't feel like they've all gathered around the ziggurat like they were before.
Alessandra's going to take the pictures, or take one of the pictures, and she's going to fly up and up and up, holding the picture aloft.
Okay. Deer makes a couple of dice rolls. Okay, yeah, fine. Well, you're flying around holding a picture.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. How far up are you flying?
I'll
Alessandra.
go 60 foot above the top of the ziggurat.
Right, well, so you can see now. You can see the obsidian ring spread around you.
Yeah.
And you can see the kind of bit of there's more open ground to the north than there is to the south, but there is open ground around the ring, and then there is the tree line. Nothing is moving or doing anything. You're just
Shout.
flapping about.
Oi, got your pictures.
Okay. Anybody else want to do anything?
I don't know. Something doesn't feel right.
There's no sign of the angry baboons?
Before, when you went, put it this way, when you met the beholder, there was clearly concerted activity by the baboons. They gathered in an organised way in a ring around the top of the wall, and they collected around the spire. There's nothing like that now. It just sounds like the jungle. It just sounds like things are dispersed. We're in an odd
Maybe
thing
we
here.
should make
I've got to be careful, but if we take what Alessandra has done since you emerged onto the roof, 18 seconds has passed.
Yeah.
So if the beholder and the baboons were waiting for their moment, if they were all standing around, fine. But if they've gone off to do whatever they're going to do,
gotta
you've
hang
been
around
gone.
10
I think you've
minutes.
comfortably had
Yeah.
2 or 3 long rests.
Hang around.
It could be half an hour before
Yeah,
anybody
hang around
shows
for half an hour.
up. Okay. But if you hang around for half an hour,
No. No.
okay.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Why?
We could just nip
You will
out
go up a level.
outside the wall and see if we can use the
No,
scroll.
really. Do you want to try and
Yeah,
get
we
to
have
the
to
other side
go
of
to
the
the
wall?
other side of the wall. I'm wondering whether I do a 6th level invisibility, which would get all of us.
Uh-huh.
We climbed in, didn't we, in the first place? So just climbed
Well,
back
we
out.
just keep Buggy in the bag of holding and we could... how many flyers have we got?
Well, I can fly.
I can fly.
I can fly. I believe I can fly.
And then Buggy in the bag of holding and we carry Parker on the sweepstake.
Yeah. Is it worth doing an invisibility?
Anyway, yeah. So
I'm wondering about. What do we think these pictures do? What do they remind us? What are they of again? They're sort of scenes of the
they're
city.
all of the city. They're all of the city back in its pomp.
Yeah. Have you got any spells, Graham, like augury or
Oh, yeah.
like a wheel or woe
reminds
to give
me.
the pictures to the beholder?
I knew I'd forgotten something.
What was that, Mike?
Oh, nothing.
I'm going to hang around with the pictures. Just going to wait for them to come.
Why?
Because
Well, I
I
have
think that's the right thing
commune.
to do.
You have commune.
Yeah, I haven't currently memorised the lesser versions. Quite a big bet on doing it, though.
Yeah.
Well,
You're very gung ho, Paul. I'm not sure it's the right thing to be doing.
I am gung-ho, but I just think that this is a clear thing to do.
Beholders are normally evil, aren't they?
Yeah,
Generally.
I'm not bothered whether it's evil or not. I want to progress this along. I mean, carry on, do the wheels and woes. I think it's going to take a bit of time for them to come to us. So I'm just waiting for them to come to us. If we find out something better in the meantime, brilliant.
okay. Well, I think we've established that Alessandra is determined that she's going to wait around at least a certain reasonable amount of time for your friend the beholder and or its baboony friends, right?
Yep.
To surface.
Yep.
During the time that Alessandra is flying, how long does your flight last? Can you fly for half an
It's
hour?
got the... Just,
Yes, I
sorry,
can.
practically, where are the pictures? I thought they were in the bag of holding.
No, I've got the pictures. I gave one to
You're
Bert.
carrying all the
I've got the other two.
You gave one to me.
Yes, I said that. I gave one to you and I'm carrying the other two.
Okay. what are the rest of you doing while Alessandra is waiting for things to happen? That's really all I want to know.
Can you let me out of the bag of holding?
I'll shake Buggy out of my bag of holding.
Okay.
I'm.
You're all sitting on the roof of the ziggurat. It's hot. It's humid.
I think we should consult
It's
with Marcus
uncomfortable.
before we hand over the paintings.
I sort of think that's not a bad idea. Don't think you lose anything by doing that, potentially.
But how do you consult with Marcus if you can't get to him?
Well, all
All we have to do is fly out of the compound. Then we should be able to use the teleport to get back.
Let's try that.
But they're not going to allow us.
That's why I'm contemplating doing an invisibility spell.
Okay.
But I need everyone to commit to that plan before I burn.
I think you could probably get out before they realise that we're
that's
getting
also
out.
what I was thinking.
So let's just get out over the wall, then do the spell. And if the beholder turns up, then you give him the paintings.
I think
If
the
that's the will of the majority, I'll go with it.
before we do it.
I think it's a good idea.
Or if that's the will of the majority, then that's what we'll do.
Okay, so I'm doing a 6th level invisibility spell, which makes us all invisible. And we fly out of the compound, cast the teleport.
Yes.
Does that work?
It does.
Right.
You are whisked back to Marcus's lair. You appear within the teleportation circle in his underground chamber of power. It's dark. Even though you left at just about 8 in the morning, breakfast time, jungle time, as it were, it's dark now. I mean, it's difficult because you don't know about night and day down here, deep under True Spire on the lake bed. But all is dark and all is quiet, and you can hear the sound of snoring out in the darkness. If you recall, the teleportation circle stands in the center. It's also sort of an elevator. In the center of a series of spanned bridges that run out to a walkway that runs around this circular chamber. The room is a circle of windows that look out over the lake bed, but Marcus seems to be able to pull different images into those windows. And then at one side of this chamber, deep in shadow, there is Marcus's desk. Behind it, some enormous energy creature that seems only barely contained by some force field of some sort that keeps its integrity together. And then the desk that Marcus seems to habitually sit behind, but all of that is wreathed in shadow. That's where the snoring is coming from. What do you want to do?
Go make a sandwich.
Yeah.
Bacon sandwich?
Yeah.
Raid the cheese board.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah, we're going
I'm going
to get ourselves some supper.
Do you know what? That is a great name for a character, specifically a barbarian.
What?
Raid the cheese board.
I'm just going to go and find out where the snoring's coming from.
Do you want to talk about, before we get into this, do you want to talk about prophecies?
Yes, let's talk about prophecies.
Because last week we talked about visions. We sort of tried to stick that together in some sort of sense. I don't know that we really resolved things. Bonds, you also mentioned that prophecies, there were an awful lot of them, and you were trying to kind of get your head around what they were.
To Tracy, my confusion again is around what brings about the Age of Worms and what things need to come to pass.
Yes, precisely. Let's talk quickly, therefore, about what you have experienced.
Right.
I have it here. Because Marcus took you through his understanding of the prophecies that were out there about the Age of Worms, and what was not determined was what events that were prophesied had already taken place, and what events that were prophesied were yet to take place. I'm not sure that we really resolved it, but very quickly, the first prophecy that Marcus took you through, these are not in any specific order, we're just going to go in the order in which he raised them, was that a piece, so that you don't take the piss, I'm going to do this normally, a piece of the sun will be stolen, was the first prophecy he talked about.
Which we know is the luster of
Saint Suzanne. Stolen by Duergar Demoni, the fiend. It is a holy artifact. It is a relic of Tonge. Tonge is the sun deity. Tonge is genderless. The luster of Saint Suzanne is a crystal phial with a brilliant glow, a spark or element or part of Tonge within it. That's been stolen. You're pretty certain that that's right. The next prophecy he talked about was that heroes from beyond the mountains will follow the stolen sun to a place between worlds. You know of a story of a group of heroes who came from the other side of the Nul Mountains, that is from your east, and visited Evenstar and involved themselves in a quest to recover the luster of Saint Suzanne. And as part of doing so, stepped into a place between worlds, travelled into some interdimensional place as part of the quest to recover that thing that you think has also happened.
Yeah.
Third thing he mentioned was that the worm-eaten dead shall rise. Well, I think we've covered that, right? I mean, that's happening all the time.
Uh-huh.
The fourth thing he talked about was a sort of general opening statement, which is that tombs shall be opened and artifacts long lost shall be found. And the artifacts that were specified in the law
are the ones that we've got.
Were the Totem of Storms,
Uh-huh.
Totem of Storms, a fragment of the Seven,
yes,
which you take to mean a fragment of the rod of seven parts,
which Marcus has,
and the withered hand of Asmodee shall find a new host. That is a little less easy to pin down. That's not something that's in your direct experience.
That'll be the hand of Vecna.
Well, you're conflating different D&D lore, but it is true to say that one of the ancient names for Asmodee is Veshna. Mm-hmm. And there you go. Then you have a prophecy that runs, an orphan shall sit upon the green chair, and the grey fire shall consume a great city.
And we haven't any clue of either of those?
Again, this is one of the things where I'm put in a slightly difficult position. Yes, you do. Yes. But whether or not that means something has specifically happened or not, you don't know. But
the green chair.
Between you have experienced information in the story so far that should shed some light upon the meaning of that prophecy.
Anyone?
Then there were two prophecies.
Say it again. Just so...
An orphan shall sit upon the green chair.
There was something about
G,
that.
capital C, and the grey fire, capital G, capital F, shall consume a great city. Let's just not dwell on that now.
Okay.
Let's move on very quickly to the last two things, and then we could come back to that. Finally, there were two prophecies. One was about a 3-part spirit becoming one.
Yes.
That is something that you think is like nailed on. Mm-hmm. Marcus, anyway, whether or not you agree with him is another matter, this is the Ebon Triad.
Yeah.
Right? This whole thing started because of this. Right. Is it that if the Ebon Triad have their way, if they can somehow combine their 3 respective gods into some unitary overgod, is that what that prophecy refers to? And if it is that overgod Chaos? Or is that overgod some kind of signifier that the Age of Worms has begun and Chaos's reign has started?
Well, that was the thing they were trying to summon, we think, with the funny pool, with the grey pool.
Certainly that seems to resonate with that. Yes, in the caverns beneath Diamond Lake, where you encountered the 3 different component faiths of the Ebon Triad, they seemed to be between them, trying to summon some kind of entity. And they in fact did, probably in a sort of not exactly as they were expecting form, and it was slain by a combination of Hestitestapod, Buggy, and the combined military power of Diamond Lake after it had rampaged through the town. This is not the Overgod, though. It was some sort of weird beast that was brought forth, right? Yeah. Okay, there's that. The other prophecy was on the eve of the Age of Worms, a hero of the pit shall gift a great city to the dead. Now, Marcus thinks that might be your experiences in Evenstar, because Chank Fankum or Rachnian, interchangeably, could be described as heroes of the pit, in the sense that
Gladiator.
He is interpreting that meaning the pit is the right. Yes, exactly. The Cenobie, the residents of the great gladiatorial heroes beneath the arena of Evenstar, right? Yeah. It might be the pit. Certainly, the plot that you foiled in Evenstar apparently was to conjure the undead in huge numbers as some sort of sacrifice to Chaos. You foiled that prophecy. So if that is a prerequisite of the Age of Worms, well, it's not happened. Marcus thinks that that's good news.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we are. That's your prophecies. One last point on prophecies before we move on. Marcus's view, in fact, your experiences, the Ebon Triad and its adherents are probably being manipulated by the Cult of Chaos. Behind the Ebon Triad all along is the Cult of Chaos.
Yeah.
The Ebon Triad cultists that tried to assassinate you when you arrived at Evenstar were in the pay of Rachnian. Well, Rachnian was part of the Cult of Chaos, and Oaths was some kind of evil avatar of Chaos that Rachnian had joined forces with. So maybe the Ebon Triad thing is a bit of an odd one. Anyway, there we go. That's prophecies. Any questions before we move on?
What does it all mean?
No idea.
Okay. All right, so we don't
don't know.
Yeah, you're back.
All
You're,
right, so
you're in.
we're in the kitchen
Marcus's
making sandwiches, and
chamber.
we're
Alessandra
raiding.
pads across the bridge towards Marcus's desk,
Yes.
towards the source of the snoring.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just grab my notes here. Because there are so many notes.
Too many notes.
And we
Too many
don't really
notes.
trust Marcus, do we?
No. Well,
Mm.
he's probably not very good, is he?
He's
He's probably
dodgy.
a bit of a B-Tech mage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alessandra, you approach Marcus's desk. You can hear snoring from 3 locations, and your dark vision picks out 3 figures. One of them is Eligos. She is sitting on a 3-legged stool, and her head is slumped forward, and she's holding a book, and the book is dangling from one hand. The other hand has fallen limp. It looks like she's literally fallen asleep reading.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Other figure is the figure of the priest of Tonge, Agath of Thrunch. He has fallen asleep at one end of Marcus's desk. Similarly, he is sitting on a 3-legged stool, but in this case, he has obviously organised himself a bit of a spot to kind of crash out on. So he's slumped over one end of the desk. He's cleared a bit of space. Marcus himself is asleep. Although all you can really make out of Marcus in his odd sort of lifted up weird little chair and his sort of pot-bellied dressing gowned form is just a sort of snory, snoozy thing under a hat. All around the desk, in piles, stacks, unruly stacks, are books. Books that weren't there when you left. It looks like either all 3 of them or just Eligos maybe have been researching, rummaging through reference material, tomes, encyclopediae, histories, the works.
Uh-huh.
And they've just discarded them in great stacks around them, making a little kind of city of skyscrapers of books all around them. Yeah?
Yeah.
They snooze on, Alessandra. Give me a stealth check.
28 and 31.
Okay, well, you are super silent as you pad up towards them. You're standing right at the desk, a couple of feet away. What do you want to do?
I think the first thing is to establish, does this look like natural sleep? Have they just fallen asleep while they're doing what they're doing, or is this a magical sleep?
I'm not going to make you make a roll. It looks normal. It looks like they're just falling asleep.
Okay, I'm going to go, get up, morning.
Okay, well, I mean, that prompts a reaction. The first reaction it prompts is Eligos. Her head snaps up. Blearily, she just sort of looks at you and goes, "Oh, Sandy!" She drops the book that she's holding with a thump onto the ground. It snaps shut. That wakes up Agath of Thrunch, the elderly priest of Tonge, who is more sort of like, and he looks around him. Eligos says, "You're back." One of Marcus's eyes opened, the bulbous eye, the one with one of his wits living within it. Marcus himself does not wake up. The eye opens, and within it there's a little face of one of his wits.
Yeah.
It looks at you, Alessandra, and it says, "I won't be happy."
I don't care. I'll tap Marcus on the shoulder with
Back already?
with my bow.
I wouldn't reach for the master if I were you.
Tap him on his shoulder with my bow.
Marcus shakes his head, slowly rises from slumber. The little wit in his eye goes, "Oh no, here we go." Alessandra, what brings you here? You've returned. Oh, your companions are with you? The lights start coming on all around you.
Yeah, they're making bacon sandwiches and cups of tea.
You must do your things. You English are a strange race. You've returned. Would you tell me? Have you prospered? Have you discovered what has happened in your adventures in the city of Kulashmar? Eligos,
Lots to discuss.
Eligos, find me Bondi.
Jamesy Bondi.
Yes, Bondi.
We tell them everything we've learned.
We tell him everything.
Gather. Yes, the sessions is the thing, and the smelly one. Come forward.
Tell him everything.
Monster.
And also, we're not going to recap it because it's hard to remember, but I take out the jars with the
No,
worms
this is
in.
the point of this entire encounter, is you recap what you have learned to me.
The jars.
We found these interesting
Mike
pictures.
is free. Mike gets to shit. That came out wrong. Anyway, Mike gets to listen to you.
We met a
explain what you
beholder
have learned.
called... Did we get a name?
A beholder?
Okay, so we have questions.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll describe the
Yes.
environment, Mike.
I need coffee. I need to be restored. Bondi, we need coffee. You continue.
So we encountered a ziggurat, which we believe was the old city of Kulithmar.
Yes, the city of
What
Kulithmar,
remained-
as
yeah.
explained to us by Rabadabadash.
Top it was as we were there, we were
Of the Rubber
we
Dubber Dog?
received visions.
Yes, the shame. You know him.
No.
We received these visions of the city in a bygone age, and we'll describe the visions.
Slow down. Burp. Visions in your mind. You see them outside yourselves or only in your head?
In our heads.
Yeah, okay. Yes, continue.
Is that it?
I
Okay,
think we can recap. We don't have to
Um,
actually do it ourselves, do we? Can we just sort of say that we
I don't know.
tell
Mike
him
seems to
everything?
want us to recap everything.
Why don't you try a stab at it?
Yeah. So basically, we'll tell him about the 5 visions and
Yes.
the ziggurat
Beholder.
and the wall around it and the beholder
And the mad
Goodness.
monkeys.
and what's he called?
Baboons.
The 6-armed guy. What was his
Marcus
6 arms.
What's his name? Makar.
Macar. Yeah.
Macar, and then
A
you've
creature
got
called
the
Makar, who is a 6th-armed mage, interdimensional
Yes.
mage, which we believe
Yes.
will describe the visions, saying he was integral in Curious Ascending, we think. Describe the visions and about how it went wrong. How does he interpret the visions, and should we give the pictures to the beholder?
The
And-
library with the experimental
library with the worms,
I
yeah.
take out the jars which I kept with all the different types of worms
Oh,
in them.
this is interesting, fascinating. Bring the Josh.
No.
Oh, so he still had the bag of holding since it's now mine.
Oh, I see you're
Sessions.
still arguing amongst yourselves.
We should
Oh,
also
with the
explain the Naga, the Chaos Knights.
The
Hinge-
6 armed
hinge
figures to which you refer are clearly spellweavers, yes? Spellweavers.
Yes, that's it. That's the one.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is very concerning to me.
What, the
Ancient
spellweavers? Have you
beings.
encountered them before?
Well, not personally, but ancient creatures of evil. They are legend. They are well known. Interesting. This is out in the jungle, yes?
Yeah.
It's a jungle.
Yep. The mighty jungle.
Yeah, the lion sleeps tonight. And if you haven't got a lion to sleep tonight, have a picnic. And if you haven't got a picnic, have a double decker. Sorry.
Very good.
Yes.
Nice.
The city of Kulishmar, the spellweavers. These visions of...
As we
think it is
explored,
Kirsch.
yeah.
As
This
we
is
banquet.
Kirsch.
We
Yes.
think it was Kiers, yes, but we're not sure whether the final thing was Kiers having ascended. We think it probably was. Should
Talk to me
mention
more about this
an ancient red dragon and a black monolith,
ancient red dragon.
Buggy should explain
black
about the
monolith.
Shadow World.
The
and we'll
Shadow
show him the
World,
pictures.
The thing coming out of the whirlpool,
These pictures are
the
attractive to me.
cat.
But place the
and the
pictures
shards.
upon the... Yes, this is enough from the smelly one. Place the pictures upon the desk. He
Yep.
gestures to you to bring the pictures forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
put them up on the desk.
Yes, it's very interesting. These are useful to me. Yes. They bear a strong enchantment.
Right.
Some form of
Yes.
sorcery.
Yes, this is some
Yes.
kind of enchantment, isn't there? Some kind of
Yes,
magic.
Yeah,
on them.
some kind of
Yes, you're just
sorcery.
repeating back to me what
Yeah,
I've shared.
yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give them to you if you give
Yeah.
us something in return.
Talk to me about this beholder.
Yeah, there's a beholder.
George.
Okay. Talk to me about the shadow world.
Yeah, there's a shadow world. yeah.
Nothing there really.
Yes, okay,
Black
that's
cat.
enough. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's enough. That's all I needed to know. Yes. A black cat.
Yes,
Black cat.
black
Yes.
cat. I shoved it in the bag of holding, but it obviously had extra.
He looked
dimensional-
sharply at Parker when you mentioned the black cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you
What
are
do you
being
know,
looked after,
Parker? The dark horse.
So it's in the monastery. It's in the monastery.
Sure, Parker is being looked after. It's very interesting. Tell me about this cat. Tell me about its behaviour.
It didn't like the thing coming out of the vortex.
Right, yes.
I
Why, would
This
shoved
is a
it-
vortex leading to the shadow world.
Yes. Why? What
I
are you
tried-
thinking?
Ah. Oh, no. I mean, the cat is... well, I believe the cat is Jen then. Yes?
Oh,
She is...
Yes.
Yeah. This is what I think.
why
Oh,
didn't
I
she? Why
see.
didn't she identify herself then? And what was she doing
Well,
in the
perhaps
shadow
this
world?
is more of an aspect of her. Yes?
Right.
A shadow aspect. It's very difficult to untangle each thing.
She seems to be
It's an
pointing the way. Also, should describe
This
this
could be relevant. Yes, maybe.
the celipod, the wooden,
Shelopod?
the
The
octopus,
shelopod wooden? What are you talking about?
the octopus tentacles.
The shelopod wooden octopus tentacles.
that came
You
out
okay?
of the vortex.
You're like a sheet.
I wouldn't. I'm perfectly fine. I've had one already
You
this
wouldn't?
morning. Out of the vortex came.
Yeah, she makes
Some
she makes light of my
tentacles.
action once again. Reaching, I infer from your description, reaching
Yes.
from the shadow
Yes,
world.
they were looking for something.
Oh,
Possibly
I don't
the
know,
cat.
yes.
Possibly one of the green shards that we found.
Green shards?
Yes, green shards.
Tell me about this green shard. Oh,
The same ones
Yes,
that killed
I have
the
heard-
Ugastasa.
yes. Oh, I see. This is very interesting. So you have the means to destroy. Ah, I see.
What?
We don't have the means.
Well, no.
You're not
yeah,
giving
this-
us anything back, really.
No.
The Spellweaver. Well, I have not been to this place.
Yeah, but
No,
we've
we're
described
knew
giving you lots of
everything.
information. You're giving
So
us
there's
nothing.
been a mission.
Speak,
there's
old
been
man,
a-
you old fool.
There's been a misunderstanding. If I knew everything about Kuluthmar, I would not have sent you there.
No.
So what's our reward?
Reward?
Yes.
There is no reward. These are steps that we are taking to prevent the Age of Worms.
But you promised us a reward.
You did.
You did. You said we would have great magic when we came back.
Exactly. And you'd put us up a level as well.
Oh, I see that the sorcery of the city of Kuluthmar has affected your mind.
No. I'm sure we
No.
have it. We have it. We all
And
remember
your
that.
memories.
You
It
should
is
put us
written
up a
here.
level.
It's recorded.
Is it now? Everything we say is recorded. you're
Somehow.
saying.
Anyway, your word is bonding, so
My word is Bondi. Talking of which, Bondi!
Mr. Bondi.
James Bondi.
You hear the teleportation circle disc ascends as you're standing there talking.
Why?
You don't know. So this is...
Christmas.
Don't break the magic.
All right.
Agath of Thrunch is regarding you blearily.
Uh,
Elagos has returned to looking in the book that she fell asleep whilst reading. Marcus is sort of bewildered by you. I'm going to assume that you've given him an accurate report of what your characters have
Okay.
encountered,
let's
as
let's
opposed to
start
what
with the
you
beholder.
remember as players.
Do you remember the beholder?
No, he clearly has no. He's not been there.
Okay.
The beholder is news to him.
Okay.
All he knows about Kuluthmar, dropping out of the annoying accent, is that Rabadabadas
Of the rubber double
said that. Oh, you know him.
No.
No.
Said that much was to be learned about the story of Kios by visiting the ruins. That's
We
why
have.
you were sent.
And we have.
So you're telling him stuff that he doesn't know.
Right.
So we've
Your description of
fulfilled
So-
this.
Makar, he absolutely clearly recognizes as a description of a spellweaver, an ancient race of arcane, dimensional traveling beings. He regards that as bad news. Your description of the visions that you've seen, he thinks it sounds like that you are narrating a series of visions that tell a story of a man's journey to a god, and that moment of transformation went awfully wrong because the god as created was trapped inside the monolith, the magical focus of the very energy meant to change the man into a god. And then, to add insult to injury, that magical focus, that black obelisk, was then snatched away by an ancient red dragon. He doesn't know the name of the red dragon. He doesn't recognize the specifics. But we know all of this. You've been looking at the story of Kios.
Yeah.
we guessed
He
it.
finds this fascinating. This is very interesting to me. This is telling us the story of everything. It feels like there is a piece missing from the story, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
I think it's all in the past and there's nothing of the future. But maybe this is the role of all the prophecies.
Tell him
we
about
have been
the,
discussing and unearthing.
Should
I
we
want to
give...
tell him about the picture of us as well.
Yeah.
I described that picture to him.
There is a picture of you
Yeah.
in this place. You're certain.
Yes. We all saw it. Well,
Why?
me and Burple saw it.
Do you find this troublesome?
Created by the spellweaver, yes, when it sees you.
I think
Maybe.
the
Why?
Bellweaver thinks we're important.
It cannot
It asked
possibly
us
be
questions.
any other way.
It asked us a series of questions.
Tell me about the questions that it asked you.
We tell them about the questions it asked us. I can't remember them.
Oh, that's very interesting, those questions that it asked you. Yes, yes. That tells me very much.
I can't remember.
No.
No,
It asks
it
if
was asking whether or not...
the prophecies
It was
have
asking
been
whether or
met.
not various prophecies... Yes, precisely. It was asking about whether or not various prophecies had been met. The ones that we've just been
That's
spending a while
right.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yes.
It asked you whether or not a fragment of the Seven had been recovered.
Yes.
It asked you whether or not a piece of the sun had been stolen.
Uh-huh.
It asked you whether or not an orphan sits upon the green chair.
The green chair is the outsplinter
and it says,
throne, is it?
What of the withered hand was its other question. Yes, this is right, Uncle Buggy. The green chair is the chair of power of the outsplinters. Doesn't orphans shit upon the green chair? This is an interesting question.
Cuthbert.
It asks you this question, so it must know the prophecies. Yes? It asks you whether or not these things have come to pass.
Right.
So it must also know the prophecies. The same prophecies that we have discovered from our researches. But it has been isolated for thousands of years. Yes? It is asking you if these things have come true. It is asking you whether or not the age of worms is upon us. You could not teleport. It has been imprisoned in this place. How can it know? So it is asking you if these things have come to pass. Simple. It makes perfect sense to me. We do not know if they have all come to pass, but we can tell you that the fragment of the Seven has been recovered. We know this. We do not know of the withered hand, but we know about the fragment of the Seven, yes?
Yes.
The green chair is the throne of power of the outsplinters of Evenstar. And my view is the grey fire. The grey fire is the name of House Outsplinter. Grey fire consumes a great city. I read this to mean that Evenstar is overrun by the power of the outsplinters. This is my understanding of that prophecy. Has she come to pass? I do not know.
Okay.
So if all these things
it
happen...
seems to me to be an unfinished thing, but also we have more pressing things to discuss and things to do.
Right. First question, should we give these pictures to the beholder?
I don't think it really matters now, does it?
Okay.
Hello.
Lucas has joined us. We don't want to know where you've been. Well, we do know where you've been, but we don't want you to say it out loud because it might disturb you.
Yes.
Anyway, it's nice to have you with us.
I normally don't have a clue what's going on, but now I officially don't have a clue what's going on.
Well, we are back in Marcus's lakebed Bond villain style there, chatting about what
In the tower.
learned in Kulith Mar.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, it's very interesting everything you learned in the city of Kulith Mar, but when you have been in your explorations, we have also been researching. Eligos has discovered some interesting information. Eligos looks up. She says, yes, we have been researching the Ebon Triad. Marcus thought it would be wise to see if we could find out a little bit more and a bit about the relation between the Ebon Triad and Chios. And maybe we could find out a little bit more about Rabadabadas.
And did you?
Yes, he goes to Kulith Mar. He appears before me. This is years ago. Immediately, he says he has another lead, another piece of information to follow in the north, he said, and then he's gone. I'll never hear from him again. Eligos says, yes. We wondered whether or not he'd left any hints as to where he was going, what he was thinking before he disappeared. So we hit the books.
And what did you find out?
We didn't find much about Chios. In fact, listening to you tell us about these visions that you've experienced in the city, I think I've learnt more about the history of Chios than from all of the book research that we did.
Right.
But we did find some information about the Ebon Triad. In several of the scrolls in Marcus's library, we found references to Ebon Triad activity, and most of them had little notes written by Rabadabadas in the margins. Little notes, little scribbles. And they repeated over and over. It's always the same pattern. His suspicion that the Ebon Triad was little more than a front for the cult of Chios.
Yeah.
All along. Agath of Thrunch, the elderly priest at the other end of the table, goes, yes,
But
yes.
didn't we know that already?
Yeah, I think we did.
I think we'd established, certainly with your experiences in Evenstar, that the cultists of the Ebon Triad were being manipulated behind the scenes by cultists of Chios, specifically Rachnian in Evenstar. But I think that what Rabadabadas felt was that actually there is no distinction, that really the Ebon Triad is just like a guise, it's just a ruse created by the cult of Chios to sort of throw people off the scent, rather than it being two separate cults with one manipulating the other.
Yeah, I think we thought the latter, didn't we?
Rabadabadas has underlined the word Frosthanger in the books of these
I
references.
know that name. Why do we know that name?
Well, it's a city. Yes, it is the city on the north of the Lake of the Cold Sky.
Of course it
And
is.
Eligos says it looks like a surprising number of these Ebon Triad leaders in these references that he's discovered hailed from Frosthanger in Red Hand. Red Hand is a kind of disparate set of bandit kingdoms that run across the northern shore and into the northern wastes above the Lake of the Cold Sky. and Frosthanger is chief among the down-at-heel cities and ports that run along the northern shore.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a map we can refresh ourselves with?
Yes, let me show you a map.
Oh, yes. Northern edge of the lake that troops
Yes,
are.
the
Island.
northeastern corner. Do lakes have corners? Anyway, the northeastern shore. It's about 30 to 40 miles across, south to north from True Spire, so it's not far. It's about a day's sailing, bit of a longer trek around the lakeside tracks and paths. Frosthanger is an odd place. It is ruled by this figure, this character, Zeech. Prince Zeech. He used to be a paladin, but he became corrupted. He is a charming individual, but he's also very vain and erratic. Very pompous.
Pompush.
Frosthanger used to have a relationship with the hinterland, with Evenstar, used to be a big trading partner. Furs, timber, but now he has pulled away from all of these relationships. He's set up by himself, if you like. Anyway, it is not an easy place to go to, Frosthanger. It is not a pleasant place. Eligos nods along as he was explaining this. I had a bit of a hunch, and I started searching through Marcus's library for books just about Frosthanger. And I could only find one. It's an outdated history of Frosthanger. It was written by a cleric of Tonge called Rorsk. It was only a few months before Zeech broke all of the ties with Evenstar, so this is 20 years ago.
Very nice.
And there's one section of the history that recounts the emergence and influence of a cabal of heretics of Ban Shivu who attempted to establish an underground cult somewhere in the city. Well, I mean, I thought this must be, right? A cult dedicated to the ascension of their god into something greater, at which point I just thought this must be what we're looking for. This cult made particular use of what they called the writhing dead. And at that point, I thought, this is what we're looking at. The cult was defeated with the aid of one of Frosthanger's greatest spellcasters, an elven noble named Lashonna. But the leader of the cult escaped persecution for some reason, reasons unknown. Anyway, in the margins of this account, Rabadabadas made a fairly extensive note. Marcus, do you have it? And Marcus nods, and one of his little wits sort of pops up from the side of the desk, scrabbles over, rifles through a pile of chaotic papers, retrieves one sheet which he brandishes before you. Let me show you the piece of paper.
Yes.
So it's a little note that
Frosthanger is
Rabadabadas has made.
Oh, so this is... Oh, right, okay. So Frosthanger...
It's the old spelling. Missing heretics never captured. Possible sign to the Ebon Triad Foundation. Did they turn to the cult of the Axeman for aid, and then more recently to that of Asmodee? Are new Triad leaders trained somewhere in Frosthanger and then sent out to start their own cult cells in other cities? She looks at you and she says, this fits the
to-do list.
Diamond Lake, Evenstar, maybe it all comes from Frosthanger. And then, bizarrely, he's put a little list of his to-do list, literally. It's like, Lashonna, this is the name of this elven sorceress. Help defeat the heretics, may know more about them that wasn't printed in Rorsk's book. Now, as far as I know, and I've had a bit of a dig about, she is still on the scene. She's still in Frosthanger, so far as I can tell. Then he mentions Rorsk. Rorsk was the priest of Tonge who wrote the history that he had referred to. And the research indicates he didn't flee Frosthanger. He's probably dead, but he may have left some form of legacy in the town. This must refer to 20 years ago when Zeech withdrew Frosthanger and the Kingdom of the Red Hand from all relationships with Evenstar, and I believe persecutes the Church of Tonge, the Church of Ort, and instead is a great supporter of the Church of the Axeman, the Church of the Grey Woodsman, and the Church of Ban Shivu. So that would make sense. And then the final note, the Ebon Triad. Are they still active in town? Find out if their original death shrine still exists. I mean, that's much more cryptic, but this must be where he was going when he came back from Kuluth Mar and seemed in such a hurry and heading to the north. That is what we think. Yes, says Marcus, that is what we think. So, we are faced with...
Right. So I assume that you're off to Frosthanger. So, yeah, we'll see you later. Thanks for the sandwich.
I think this is something that perhaps you should be doing, but we have a question of unfinished business. It is impossible for me to look far enough into the future. I cannot divine the correct approach, the next step. Is there unfinished business in Kuluthmar? Is there yet more to be learned from this strange Spellweaver character? Maybe there is more history to be learned. On the other hand, we have this tantalizing piece of information from the very hand of Rabadabadash. Which path to choose? I do not know. I cannot advise you.
I think we should head back to Kuluthmar. I think the Shadow Realm we should investigate.
You think there is some potential to finally defeat this Spellweaver creature? Learn maybe a little more? Maybe learn the secret of this portrait.
It's going to be tough.
That you tell me about.
Yeah.
Maybe you can even retrieve this portrait. Even
do
if
you think
defeat this creature?
What do you think we should do with these pictures? Do you think we should give them to the beholder?
It sounds to me like it is a distraction. It sounds to me like this beholder has ambitions, territorial ambitions. These pictures are clearly, they contain some kind of compulsion magic. It is obvious to me. Can you not see this? They must obviously offer some power to their possessor over the city. He wishes to have them. If you wish to give them to him, I cannot see that you could make things any worse. On the other hand, it is probably best to have one fewer despot in the world. Reluctantly, I agree with you, and yes. He clicks his fingers, and one of the drawers of his desk opens. There's a little hand inside that has opened it, reaches up with a scroll. Here we are. There's another one that I have prepared for you. He hands over the scroll to Sessions. Sessions, the operation exactly the same way as before.
Okay, I'll put that in my pocket.
If you step over to the window, showing the lands that wait, the jungle and the city, I can send you on your way.
Okay.
Right. You got any magic?
I have tons and tons
to help us.
of magical items, but rather gratifyingly, they all belong to me.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we don't get any magic anyway, so point is moot.
No, I know. I'm bored of giving it to you because you argue so much about it. No,
but
there isn't any.
We handed the last lot out. We distributed it.
Yeah.
You did, because I literally put gift tags on it.
The Christmas.
This is specifically
This is for
tailored
Parker.
to this character.
Yes, with love from Grandpa and Nana. This is for Burple. You've been such a good boy this year. Let's see how long you argue about that book that you found.
My mother's diary.
Exactly.
The prayer book of...
No, it's the prayer book of misfortune.
It's blasphemy to read it.
Okay. Does anyone need to rest up, or should we just head straight back?
He gestures towards the little bridge that runs across towards this giant picture window.
Yeah.
As you step towards it, you can feel the view of the jungle start to envelop you, and the sounds of the jungle start to play inside your mind. And you hear him say once again, "Send them through." And you appear in the jungles above the city of Kuluthmar. You're in exactly the same point that you arrived on your first visit. There's a gap in the foliage. You can look down into the sort of slight slope into a kind of bowl-like depression with the city standing at its base. You can hear the cries and the sounds of the jungle denizens, the whir insects. The sun is beating down through a hazy sky. Again, all sense of time and continuity, very appropriately for this ridiculous program that we make, seems to have been lost. What do you want to do?
We've had a long rest, haven't we?
You had a long rest in the junk shop room, the Naga lair, before you went out.
Yeah, I've used 2 spells.
I've done a death ward.
Yes, your favourite spell?
Yeah.
When are we going to get this one where you disappear into the wall like Homer Simpson?
I'm quite looking forward to using that, but things would have to be pretty bad before I start doing that. Melt to
We'll see what we can
stone.
do. Yeah.
That is like, the party's completely screwed. The only way to do anything is just to get into the wall and hope nobody spots
Get
me.
into the wall. Things would be pretty bad.
Well, it
Yeah.
does. I mean, it's like it's TPK territory.
What do you want to do?
Well, head down.
Okay.
Over the wall. Graham ferries
Over
people
the
over
wall.
the wall.
You can do that just as in your first visit. It's not long before you get the sense that things are approaching. Things have taken notice of your presence this Christmas.
What, inside
time of
or
year.
outside
How
the
very
wall?
appropriate. Outside the wall, out in the dense jungle around you, the whoops and cries and chattering of the crazy primates gets more focused and gets more proximate. But by the time that it's at any point getting anywhere near threatening to you, you're well over the wall and inside the main compound. You're going to dimension door back to where you were? What do you want to do?
I think we walk in.
Let's try that, at least as far as we can.
Across the open ground between the wall and the ziggurat itself.
Yeah.
Down into one of the atriums, maybe the one that you went through the first time. All is quiet, but as you enter the Hall of Welcome, there's one big change, which is that from that northern door, the door to the torture chamber, a carpet of writhing, green, horrid worms spreads and seems to sort of zero in on the aperture on the pit. And you can see their little wiggly, slimy bodies tumbling over into the darkness in some numbers.
If we look into that northern room, is that
somebody can fly? Is somebody going to fly and do that?
Well, Graham is. Is there some kind of session? Is there some? Is it? Where are they coming from?
Flying near the ceiling, out of sight.
Well, it looks like there was a sort of reservoir of worms in a hollowed out section all around the actual structure of the room.
Yeah. There was a glass.
Yes. And that glass is cracked. The northwestern corner of that chamber, that's where the glass is fully splintered. You don't get the sense that it's an infinite supply.
That's kind of
what you also get the sense that it's quite a slow process.
Does it look like there's enough worms here to fill the pool at the bottom?
You'd have said probably not.
Right.
The sea of worms was vast.
Does it look like we could fly down through the hole and not get wormed?
Yes. I mean, I think that the issue would be that they are tumbling over the edge and falling like a horrible.
But aren't they falling from one side, the side with the
right? But they're pitching out. It's a 60-foot drop, and it's not the widest of things. There are free-falling worms zooming down the middle of the pit, as well as worms, as it were, tumbling or sliming down the inner wall of the pit. I would say that it would be a formality to brush them away or to fend them off as you descended. So I'm saying yes, you could do that.
When the first one of the shards shattered, did that kill off the lake of worms?
Yes.
Yeah, it did. Do we fly down? Do we dimension door down?
Well, if we can fly down safely, why don't we do that? Save spells.
Can I have a lift on your sweepstake, please?
Parker and Buggy are the only people that can't fly, but you have got the bag of holding.
I can fly, but it's a once only.
Walk along walls, but not ceilings.
If it's not dangerous, we could just shuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you shuttle.
Yeah.
Where are you dropping people off? Let me put you on a map. Have we got a map?
Where do we think we want to go, guys?
Well, I think we want to go back into the vortex, don't we? How about that western corridor?
Well, just in that corridor in the northwest.
Yeah. We do it in one float. We stick Buggy in the bag of holding.
Nobody touches a dwarf.
Alessandra carries somebody, and you carry somebody.
Let's not get into it, right?
And then as we swoop down over the sea of worms, I'll drop the bag of holding.
Into the sea of worms. Opening the top just as you do so.
Justice, yeah.
Right.
Oh, I am related to you, Sessions. Do I need to point that out again? Should we be just nabbing that portrait of ourselves on the?
Well, I'm going to say that you're all in the little passageway, the northwestern corner of the lake. You know that if you were to head north from where you are, you'd go into the room with all of the preserved beeb-dobies.
Yeah.
And then by extension, you could go back to the lobby and then back to the room with the fountain in it. That's that way. Turn left from where you are. You head south into the room with the Naga. I presume one of you is peering around the corner.
Yeah.
There's no cat. There's no tentacles. That chamber is apparently empty.
The vortex is still there, though?
The vortex is still there.
Okay, Buggy will activate his flame tongue and move forward. Proceed forward southwards into the room with the vortex.
Purple will follow up behind.
Sessions will follow a bit behind Purple.
On the sweepstake.
Yep, up towards the ceiling.
And Parker will...
Yeah, I'll just basically go between Purple and Buggy, yeah.
So what we think, Lucas, is this leads through to the same shadow realm where we met the spider and we fought the spider and we met the googly-eyed Sessions.
A shadow version.
A shadow version. Yeah. And we think that through there is some some tentacles came out of it and started feeling around. We kind of avoided them, but probably there's something in the pool in the shadow realm. Jump through.
Everybody jumps through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, might as well, yeah.
Into the vortex, one after the other. Time dilates and then contracts. You find yourself running, falling, flying, spinning through a darkness that may last forever. After what could be just an instant, but also could be eternity, you sense a darkness at the end of the tunnel that rushes towards you, and we'll find out what's on the other side of that darkness when we pick things up next week.
Sigh.
Well, gotta stop sometime.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. The Spire of Long Shadows and Age of Worms are copyright Paizo. The Spire of Long Shadows was written by Jesse Decker. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat.